Welcome back everyone. I'm thrilled to share another captivating video, delving deeper into the ongoing story of Cassian, the protagonist of the comic, Villain to Kill. If you haven't seen my previous episode, I highly recommend giving it a watch, for it will provide essential context to enhance your grasp of the unfolding storyline. In the last video, we saw how Cassian grapples with the realization that he has transformed into a villain, and how he eventually decides to accept his new identity and take on the responsibilities of the original owner of his body, starting from going to see his sister. While heading home, he is startled by a sudden explosion in a nearby building. Turning around in shock, he witnesses a chaotic scene as people desperately flee a mall engulfed in flames. A sense of dread blankets the crowd, and it becomes apparent that the recent notoriety of a local villain is linked to this destructive incident. Realizing that the villain has even taken a mother and child as hostages, Cassian becomes overly frustrated and enraged, his sense of duty as a psyker overcoming his evil instinct. The very next moment, he begins to run towards the building. Shocked to see him, Moros tries to stop him, asserting that the person inside the mall is a villain and not an ordinary criminal, and stating that it is not possible for ordinary humans to fight against villains. In that case, Cassian states that he is also going to take his villain form to have an equal level of power. However, Moros swiftly interjects, reminding him that it is forbidden for villains to attack their own kind, causing Cassian to become momentarily shocked at this realization. Telling him not to be so rash, Moros warns him that it will only lead him to face dangerous consequences if he goes about messing with other villains like that. Despite Moros's warnings, Cassian, after a contemplative silence, stops before the mall and turns towards Moros, defiantly expressing his indifference to the consequences, leaving Moros visibly astonished. Having said that, he strides into the mall, ascending the stairs with a firm resolve. He asserts that regardless of his current disposition, he cannot ignore those in danger. Moros falls into a contemplative silence, recalling Jeff's revelation about Cassian's ostensibly short temper, contrasting with the genuinely compassionate nature hidden beneath his public facade. Recalling this, he observes Cassian sprinting towards the top floor with unwavering resolve and encourages him to transform into a villain and stand against his own kind, promising to fully support him in that. Meanwhile, on the uppermost floor of the mall, amidst the wreckage, a mother and her child find themselves bound to chairs, desperately pleading for mercy. Before them sits a malevolent figure, callously affixing explosives to their chairs. With a heartless demeanor, the villain coldly instructs them not to shed tears, dismissing the ordeal as a mere source of amusement, thereby heightening their sense of terror. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-chan stands by the gas station, gazing at his bandaged arm from the injury caused by Cassian and still feeling shocked at his prowess. While he is thinking that, his phone suddenly begins to ring and he picks it up, getting shocked to hear about the incident at the mall. Hanging up the phone, he turns to his colleague, briefing him on the incident he believes to be instigated by Blaster. Assertively, he declares that it's high time for them to take decisive action. Meanwhile, in the mall, the child sits engulfed in fear as Blaster inquires whether he has ever witnessed the spectacle of fireworks painting the sky with a myriad of colors. Expressing his dismay upon discovering that the child has never witnessed such a spectacle, Blaster tells him not to feel disheartened. He pledges to unveil something even more magnificent and vibrant. However, his promise takes a sinister turn as he points toward the child's mother, who is seated with numerous explosives attached to her body. In a chilling declaration, Blaster announces his intention to detonate the bombs, painting the sky with her blood and leaving the child trembling in fear. Taking a close look at her, he shares his plan of blowing up her body and leaving the head as a souvenir. However, before he can act upon his cruel plans, a loud voice suddenly silences him, causing all three of them to look around in confusion. After blankly staring at the surroundings for some time, a sly grin crosses his face as he remarks on the presence of an unexpected guest. Observing the stairs, laden with potentially explosive devices that could explode upon the slightest contact, he urges the mysterious individual to reveal themselves while preparing himself for the impending confrontation. While he is focused on the stairs, anticipating someone's arrival, a sudden shatter of glass from behind steals his attention. In a split second, Cassian bursts through the broken window. Startled, He turns around just as Cassian delivers a forceful punch to his face, sending him hurtling backward to collide with the wall. After briefly apprehending him, Cassian catches his breath and turns to Moros, inquiring about the well-being of the hostages, and Moros assures him that both are unharmed. However, just then he suddenly notices a bomb that got attached to his waist without him noticing and is about to explode, leaving all of them shocked. In order to save the hostages from the blast, Cassian quickly runs away and maintains a distance when the bomb finally explodes, shaking the already unstable building once again. This leads to the amplification of the anxiety of onlookers outside the mall, prompting them to cry out for help. The powerful explosion utterly decimates the building's interior, leading Blaster to believe that Cassian perished in the attack. Labeling him as impolite for barging in without permission, Blaster remarks it to be bad for him to have died so easily. With that, he turns towards the hostages, channeling his powers into his hand as he menacingly conveys his frustration, intending to unleash it upon them. Yet, just as he prepares to hurl a bomb their way, a formidable shadow cutter materializes abruptly, slicing through his arm and diverting the impending danger as the explosive device falls to the ground. As a result, he erupts in screams of agony, oblivious to the fact that this served as a mere diversion, enabling Cassian to swiftly maneuver into position and deftly knock him to the ground. As he lies there, helpless and struggling to rise, Blaster desperately raises his hand, intent on launching another attack against Cassian. Before he can proceed, Cassian swiftly seizes his arm and delivers a forceful punch to his face. Fueled by anger ignited by Blaster's cruelty, Cassian unleashes a relentless barrage of strikes, triggering his malevolent instincts and casting a sinister glow in his eyes. Feeling the subtle shift in his demeanor, Moros calls him out, abruptly snapping him out of his trance and causing him to realize that Blaster has already died. As the realization sinks in, Cassian is left grappling with the shocking truth that he has crossed a line, questioning how he could become so ruthless. Moros explains that succumbing to his unchecked anger led him to lose control, exposing the perilous path he was treading. Moros warns that had this unchecked rage persisted, Cassian would have irrevocably transformed into a full-fledged villain. Upon hearing that, Cassian feels a surge of frustration for allowing himself to act in such a manner. Motivated to rectify the situation, he rises and heads towards the hostages, who are visibly shaken and fearful at the sight of him. After a while, the rescue team and psychers reach the mall, initiating a thorough investigation into the incident. During their examination, they discover the lifeless body of Blaster. Meanwhile, Kim Woo-chan, conducting his own inquiry on the mall's top floor, stumbles upon a surprising revelation: the hostages were actually rescued by another villain. This revelation proves incredulous to everyone involved, as no one was prepared to believe such an unexpected twist. Startled by the news, he quickly gets up and hurries toward the group discussing the matter, asking if it is really the case. At that moment, a colleague calls out to him, urging him to review the surveillance footage from the first floor, and he complies, heading straight in that direction. Meanwhile, Cassian, having reverted to his human form, sits pensively on a bench, haunted by the vivid memory of terror etched on the faces of the hostages who pleaded for their lives. As he contemplates the potential repercussions of succumbing to the darker aspects of his personality, a wave of sadness washes over him. The realization that surrendering to the villainous side within him could lead to harm befalling innocent people weighs heavily on his mind. In the midst of these reflections, a message from his sister interrupts his thoughts, announcing that dinner is ready and urging him to return home. Meanwhile, in the office of the psychers, Kim Woo-chan and his colleague closely scrutinize surveillance footage capturing Cassian's actions. The sight of him diligently untying hostages and facilitating their release shocks them all. Returning to the home of his body's original owner, Cassian discovers a prepared meal on the table along with a note from his sister, instructing him to heat it before eating. Reading the note triggers memories of his time in the orphanage, when he often arrived late for dinner and was denied a meal. During those challenging moments, Jeff consistently helped him, ensuring he never went to bed hungry. Reflecting on those memories stirs a sense of melancholy within Cassian, prompting him to proceed with reheating the dinner. As he starts eating, he can't help but remark on the wonderful taste, realizing that it has been a long time since someone has prepared food for him like that. The next morning, Cassian awakens to the piercing sound of his alarm, prompting him to rise and freshen up. While brushing his teeth, he gazes at his reflection in the mirror, grappling with the melancholy realization that he must continue living under a different identity for the foreseeable future. Having prepared for school, he is about to leave when his sister's voice calls out to him, causing him to turn around. Standing in the doorway, still bleary-eyed from sleep, she insists that he bid her farewell before heading out. Seeing her, Cassian is overcome with a sense of awkwardness, grappling with the dilemma of whether to disclose the truth that he is not her real brother. As he contemplates this, his sister retrieves a debit card from her pocket and hands it to him, revealing that it is something he had previously asked for. Alongside the card, she informs him that she has transferred funds into his account, instructing him not to waste it. This unexpected gesture leaves him perplexed, prompting him to reflect on the memories of his body's original owner, who had, in the past, sought pocket money for the upcoming months in advance from her. Taken aback, she inquired about his sudden need for money, considering she had provided him with pocket money just a week ago. Recollecting the recent incident where bullies had snatched his wallet, he opted to fabricate a story, claiming he had lost it. Yuri, his understanding sister, agreed to lend him more money, bringing a sense of relief to him. However, this time, she proposed giving him a debit card to alleviate concerns about losing cash. This memory causes Cassian to grasp the underlying reason behind her decision to provide him with a debit card. Expressing gratitude and assuring her that he won't squander the money, Cassian turns to depart. However, she stops him again, noting that he appears somewhat different today, creating a twinge of nervousness in him. Swiftly, she attributes the change to his hairstyle and compliments the new look, instantly alleviating his anxiety. Aware that lingering in her presence may arouse further suspicion, Cassian promptly heads towards the school. The narrative now shifts to his inaugural experience at the Korean school and the looming possibility of someone linking him to the mall incident. Stay tuned for my upcoming video, where I'll delve into these developments. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to do so now for intriguing content.